큰 박수로 맞이해 주시기 바랍니다.
Hi everyone. Thanks for welcoming me to Seoul. It's great to be here and amongst such an excellent group of people. And thanks Jun Yang for putting this event together. It's truly extraordinary to see so many people in one room focused on cryptocurrency and bringing us into a new prosperous age. So thank you. I can see that the video is working great. I asked that they would set up the video so that I could walk us through some of the technology stack of Steemit by drawing it out here on the whiteboard, and then you'll be able to see it on the screen here. And the reason I want to do that is a lot of people, when I talk to them for their first time about Steemit, they really just want to know what is Steemit. And I can give them a very quick elevator pitch. I can say that Steemit is the first social media platform to ever be built on a blockchain, where all the users are rewarded with cryptocurrency just for contributing content. They're truly rewarded with a valuable commodity of money just for doing things they were already doing on other social media platforms. There's a lot to unpack there, I think, and there's a lot that went into making Steemit possible that I think is worth taking note of. And the best way to do that is to make note of these things visually. So behind Steemit, there's an even bigger concept. It's the concept of the Steem Blockchain. And anyone familiar with flow diagrams will recognize this shape that I'm drawing now. It's your classic database structure. And this database structure represents Steem, the blockchain. Oh, can I turn that to, oh, that's perfect. And what this database provides to applications like Steemit.com is two things. One, it provides a cryptocurrency, Steem, which can be sort of recognized in here as a sort of accounting ledger. And it also provides content management, really a content management system. And so the content goes in here in a specific structured way. That's what content management systems do. So what it does is it offers basically three core things: blog posts, comments, and account names. And those things you can kind of visualize here as text. And you might be wondering, well, what makes this any different from any other social media platform? Every other social media platform like Facebook, they have an interface and then they have a back end. Well, this back end actually has a lot more specialized instruments that are needed to make it possible, that just never existed in any other paradigm before. Particularly with cryptocurrency, these databases need to be censorship resistant, almost completely censorship resistant. Otherwise, the cryptocurrency is just not possible, not feasible. And to make the cryptocurrency possible inside this database, there needs to be redundancy. And the way that happens is you have a series of nodes or computers that are run by a selected and elected group of individuals from around the world. They run these nodes and they communicate with each other in set algorithmic ways to make sure that every one of their peers is running the same copy of this database. And if one of them is not, by chance, running the same copy of this database, then they get kicked out of this consensus mechanism. And they don't want to get kicked out because it turns out that while they were participating in this, they were being paid. They're actually being paid from this cryptocurrency system, Steem. It's programmed to pay them each time they successfully keep track of the ledger. So they don't want to get kicked out because that's like losing their job. So it's a system of incentives that propagates this network and makes the cryptocurrency possible. This is the first time, with blockchain, for the first time, cryptocurrency has been made possible in this way. This particular consensus algorithm is referred to as DPoS. That stands for Delegated Proof of Stake, and that's opposed to other consensus mechanisms like Bitcoin's, which is proof of work, which operates a little bit differently. So you can see there's an innovative consensus mechanism. There's a currency in here. That's pretty typical. But then there's also a content management system. That's new to blockchain. That had never happened before Steem. Then there's another interesting mechanism that I think a lot of people in this room are aware of. It's that part of this currency, Steem, is distributed to the end users who are writing blog posts through steemit.com. And what happens is, mechanically, with these blog posts, is they get put on steemit.com, which registers them in a blockchain node that then gets caught up with all the other nodes, and then eventually, through that process, it gets stored on the blockchain. And once it's on the blockchain, it stays on the blockchain forever, just like all the cryptocurrency transactions. Now the blockchain has inputs. It has data that it can do things with. There are algorithms built into this blockchain that relate the cryptocurrency to the text, and also it weights another data structure, which are upvotes, where basically the users, other users, are reading the content, and they're upvoting the content if they like it, and they're downvoting it if they don't like it. The blockchain takes all that information, the upvotes, the content, and a scheduled release of new cryptocurrency tokens, new Steem tokens, and it decides how to distribute those to the end users. So the major innovation, you can see we had to really dig down to figure out how all this works, but the major innovation here is that you have a cryptocurrency system where the cryptocurrency is autonomously distributed to real people doing very regular activities. You know, before cryptocurrency came along, we were all already online, participating in social media in some way. But now when we do it, we are potentially being compensated for that activity. And if we step back and we think about that, this is a very big concept. And Steemit being the first to leverage it, we might say that we're at the very beginning of a revolution. Things may look very raw right now, but I'm of the mind that in 5 and 10 years, there will be thousands and thousands of websites that are integrating cryptocurrency to facilitate growth of community. And this brings me back to the vision that I have for my company, which is called Steemit Incorporated. I believe that we can use token technologies like Steem to tokenize the entire content web, and that Steem as a blockchain will continue to offer opportunity to entrepreneurs of all sorts, whether they be content creators or community builders. They will be able to leverage tokens to accelerate the growth of their company, the growth of their community, to potentially do fundraising, and to monetize their website and make their community sustainable. So, kind of case in point to all of this being the future, I think it's worth noting that there's been incredible growth for Steemit.com. Over the last 2 years, the company's only been around for 2 years, we've seen this website go from being not known at all to now being a top 1,000 website globally. And more interestingly, I think for this room, it's actually a top 200 website in all of Korea. So our growth in Korea has been faster than it has been in any other geographic region. And one of the reasons that I wanted to come to Korea so much was to figure out and gain insight into the fact that Korea is outpacing growth in other places, and why is that? I think I'm still learning, and maybe we'll explore more about that on the panel later. So also sort of demonstrating the potential of this technology is, by this point, 2 years into this experiment, Steemit.com is no longer the only interface building on this blockchain platform. This platform here, because of this node system, and these nodes are called witnesses that are running the software, all of the data that's in the blockchain is publicly accessible by anyone. There are no barriers to entry to tapping into this data. Simply run a node, and you get a full copy of the data, and you have both read and write access to that data. And what that means is that entrepreneurs may get the idea that they can build their own interface and plug it into the blockchain and leverage these two new data structures, the Steem data, the cryptocurrency data, and the content data, and then provide some sort of different graphical user experience here to attract lots of users and potentially build a successful website. There have been more than 350 applications built on the Steem blockchain. That's pretty impressive, and is up there for being maybe the most applications built on any single blockchain ecosystem. One in particular that I'd like to draw our attention to is called D.Tube. D.Tube is a competitor to YouTube. They've been very successful over the last several months. Their growth is increasing at a faster and faster rate. And they're also attracting lots of content creators from mainstream platforms like YouTube. So what we see here is that an application developer was able to show up and leverage this existing technology to create a potentially killer application. And I believe that this process, with the advent of cryptocurrencies like Steem, will become more and more frequent. So this kind of leads me to, how are we going to usher in the future? How are we going to empower more entrepreneurs to leverage tokens to grow a community or to launch a community from the outset? And to show that, I think I'm going to have to erase some things on here, make some room. So if I just bring us back to Steem, the blockchain, we can see that here's Steem again. Here's the cryptocurrency ledger for Steem, the cryptocurrency. And what I've envisioned is that Steem won't be the only cryptocurrency to usher in this future of a tokenized content web, where content creators are being rewarded for creating great content. What that's going to require is more tokens. And the way we're going to bring that about is by a protocol upgrade to the Steem blockchain called Smart Media Tokens. Smart Media Tokens is a token protocol that is, for those who are pretty into blockchain, related to, sort of analogous to Ethereum's ERC20 protocol. It's a piece of software that allows anyone to show up to a blockchain and create their own token with certain parameters for inflation and that sort of thing, but also in the context of Smart Media Tokens, an entrepreneur can choose different things like how votes affect the distribution of the token. So to visualize how that fits in here, if you've got Steem, the cryptocurrency ledger here, you might here have Smart Media Token, SMT for short, SMT1, right? And you can start to see that other cryptocurrencies can fit into this system. And what I expect is that other applications building on the Steem platform will begin to leverage their own tokens. So DTube, eventually in the future, will launch its own token, like SMT1, but they might call it something different. They might call it DTube coin or DTube token. And what this token will allow them to do as a company is they can accomplish three business goals that lots of businesses seem to always have. One is fundraising. Two is monetizing. And three is growth. So the way SMT is going to enable that, first, fundraising is through an ICO contract. Basically, when you launch a token here, there is business logic available in the blockchain that will allow you to set up an ICO. And through an ICO, a project could raise money to become bootstrapped, or they could feel that they're selling their token because there's so much demand for it, and could kickstart their organization with those funds. We also want DTube to have the ability to monetize with this token. Well, the advent of Steem has brought about an innovation called reward sharing that is potentially a monetization model of the future. And the way that works is, if we think back to how new tokens are constantly distributed, like they would be with Steem, we can think that if the creators behind DTube basically earn 100 tokens or 100 Steem, DTube would have the right to take a rake or a percentage of those tokens, and that might be 15% or 5% of all the tokens coming through. And because those tokens have value, just like all these other cryptocurrencies, they can use the value of those tokens to then pay for their operations or potentially take profit from their venture. And that's a big breakthrough. For the first time, we're seeing tokens help create sustainable business models. And the third major thing that every business wants or every community wants is growth. So we've already alluded to how that's happening in all this, but essentially because these tokens are constantly being distributed to the end users who are writing blogs, these people over here, these people see opportunity. And when there's opportunity to earn, to be compensated for something, the word tends to get out about that sort of thing. So more and more people begin to show up to try the system, to play with the system, to see if they can earn inside the system. So SMTs, I believe, are basically an entrepreneur's tool to getting their business, getting their community kickstarted, up and running, and successful faster than ever before. Token technology like smart media tokens is lowering the barrier to entry for entrepreneurs everywhere, and that's why I'm calling Steem the blockchain of opportunity. It's opportunity for entrepreneurs, it's opportunity for content creators, and ultimately I think it's going to change the face of the internet.